Welcome to another edition of Go Central. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Central Athletic Foundation, also known as CAF. Joining us are our usual co-host Gordy Rush and Brad Furman from the CAF. Welcome, Brad and Gordy.
Welcome, Ed. Thank you.
Good evening.
And we are here to, with Go Central, we're trying to emphasize all the great things going on in Central, all the positive events, the people, the organizations, the really positive, uplifting things that happen in the city of Central that make it the greatest place on earth to live, raise, play, and work and raise a family. So with that, I guess I'll turn it over to one of you guys to just kind of tell us, let's start from today and then we'll jump back into history and say how we got to today, but just the general purpose. What is CAF?
You want to take it, Gordy, or do you want me to go?
Well, yeah, I'll take you through kind of my timeline, and then I'll set Brad up. So Brad's gotten in here most recently, but Central Athletic Foundation was in place. Todd Bourget, Casey Patterson, Jason Leapart, a number of people were involved. Tan and Trey McClure, about 3 or 4 years ago, and they had reached out to my wife to kind of recreate what was the Backers, and I think Central Backers was a really popular group you could talk about, Brad, in your time, and that they were basically parents that did everything from help construct the bleachers to at Wildcat Stadium to run the concession stands and just whatever was needed to involve, get behind athletics, just not at the high school, but involved with CAYL, which we'll touch about, I'm sure, tonight. And so, my background, Dave is just with LSU. I was involved with Tiger Athletic Foundation on their board from 2009 to 2013, their executive board from 2013 to 16. So that was, Tiger Athletic Foundation was about raising funds to support LSU athletics and building facilities and so forth. And so when Ashley and I talked about it, we thought we want our kids to grow. We're going to grow up in Central. This is where her family's from, and we wanted to get behind it. And so the main cause is really to help support Central athletics from K to 12, right? And I think the vision and the idea is to, I think, offer an opportunity for every child to play any sport that they want to play that's offered in the area out here in Central, and that's from the youth, and how can you support the high school. So we were involved the last 3 years. Obviously, Ashley is now over at the community school system with her role as the athletic director. And so she and I kind of got off the board of the CAF, and we helped to go recruit some people that were really passionate about Central. And obviously, Brad, being a former student athlete out at Central, fit the bill. So, Brad, that's how we reached out and got some people like yourself involved.
Yeah, I know, Dave, for me, CAF, the way I kind of explain it to people is it's almost like we're a liaison between the community and the athletic department. Not everybody can go to Ashley and have suggestions, this, that, or the other. So I think that's why bringing back CAF, which Gordy kind of alluded to, is similar to what we had when I was in high school as the Backers. It gives the community a voice. A lot of parents feel like a lot of times they don't have a say-so or a voice with their kids playing sports. And I think becoming a member of CAF actually gives them that opportunity.
Yeah, there's a fine line to jump in that I think you have to have community support, right? And you need it for a number of reasons. I think helping with facilities, right? And helping with the K to 12 and what have you. And then there's a fine line. And actually, there's a fine line down my house, Dave, in that there's coaches and there's an athletic department, and you learn that through LSU. My job is never ever to go tell Les Miles and say, hey, Les, throw the ball on 3rd and 7 or play Jefferson instead of Jared Lee, right? I mean, that's kind of the line for parents. But, I think to support these teams and to help support these student athletes, support these coaches, support the youth programs and help with networking in however way that you can get, if you got connections or you have an interest to volunteer and help youth programs, how do you get involved and just make the athletic scene in Central a better place for our children?
I agree.
So historically, the Backers, I remember back when my kids were playing ball, probably they're in their 30s now. Backers was a big organization, and if you needed funding for a minor sport, if you needed fundraisers for a major sport, that's where it all happened. It all kind of funneled through the building of the bleachers, all the volunteer efforts, the painting of the field, all that kind of stuff. Of course, now we don't have to paint a field anymore, but thanks to the new turf. But do you see CAF as filling those same roles plus more?
We would love to. Eventually, we hope to be that big. Right now, we don't have the membership. That's why we've kind of opened the membership up in April, and it's going to run through September. We're hoping to get to 150 to 300 members this year. And that way we can start doing those sort of things. Like, I know for me, when I was in high school, when a child lettered and had earned a Letterman jacket, the backers paid for it. The parents didn't have to come out of pocket for that. When we won state in baseball, the backers paid for that. I feel like these kids make a huge sacrifice to play a sport. I mean, they sacrifice their time, they give up certain things. And as a community, or as an athletic foundation, we should be able to support and help out when they actually have, big achievements like that in their life.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I tell you, during the pandemic, had a lot of downtime, had a chance to get out and see a lot of Central youth in some of the middle school, high school athletic programs just to get a feel for what's going on. Now, I'll give you a great example. The Central Biddy League got resurrected 2 years ago. And this past year, the varsity coaches over there, Coach Edwards, Coach Dewey, also in there, Coach Osborne, a lot of those coaches were really active in putting on that Saturday bidding. And the truth of the matter is, you run that bidding to help. It went through, I believe, CAF or CAYL. And those funds, you want to raise funds to help those coaches and help those programs. But you think about those coaches were playing usually on Friday night, and that's late. And you imagine a bus trip from wherever you might be playing and come back Saturday morning and have to run that bidding league. So is there a way that the parents can help and volunteer and work hand in hand where the coach is not putting in the 12-hour day after playing a Friday, a week of school, probably 2 games, practices, and so forth. And we don't know all those answers, right, at this point. But absolutely, any way, shape possible, how can volunteers get involved to help and support, again, the student athletes and the coaches?
Well, you just mentioned an important part of it is our farm team, as it were. Our farm system is our biddy leagues. And I'll tell you that my business partner, Austin Meyer, and Keith Kepper, and some others were instrumental in starting the youth Wildcat teams. And when that first crop of kids got to be juniors and seniors who began in that program, huge impact on the quality of football at Central. Hasn't CAF also gotten involved in the biddy basketball side?
Yes, sir, we have. I know this year we were involved with, I think, Gordy, correct me if I'm wrong, but this was the first year CAF was involved.
I think second year. So
second year?
I'm trying to remember if we even played during played before the pandemic. So Jason Leapart ran it, and this year the coaches got involved, and and we haven't sat down to visit with biddies. So, but I only look at I put myself in this coach's position, and they need community support. And you think about their teaching in the classroom, they're practicing, they're playing games, and how can you help to do that? So CAF helped with the bidding. That's the second year that they've done that. The CAF also puts on the Flag Football League. And I think what we're trying to do with our website, I know this is CAF's trying to get everybody under the same website, not to help promote and make parents aware of all the sports that are being played. So baseball is still CAYL. It's run out at the Central Sports Park. But for instance, First Tee Golf that opens golf, makes golf available for children. You can start to find information about that. So if I'm a parent, I live in Central, and I don't care what sport my kid's interested in, you can go to Central Athletic Foundation, hopefully, and be able to find whatever info it is about your kid and direct you in the right, in the right direction.
So how do you see CAYL ultimately integrating with CAF?
Well, I don't know. Ultimately, I mean, CAYL is obviously you talk to some people that have been involved with CAYL, it's been 30 to 40 years. And so I don't know that I want to have that discussion, Dave.
Simply being a cheerleader and a support is enough.
Yeah, right. No, my mother-in-law does the concessions out there, and Coach Sid was the commissioner, and he took over for my wife's grandfather, Mr. Bill Ensminger, who passed during the pandemic. And so, those people are really passionate about that. And baseball's evolved, right? And, that's an entry-level league, CAYL. You have a lot of these sports have evolved. You have travel baseball and things like that. But still, it's a start for the T-ball leagues and all the above, and it gives children an opportunity to play. I think, Dave, for right now, CAYL, and CAF is just, besides the sports that CAF puts on, is to promote the other sports and let CAYL just stay there. What we're trying to do is get all the parents to come to one website, and more importantly, I think CAF on its social media pages is to push all that information out and just let people in Central know what's going on with our athletic programs.
I know that CAF started in its early life in the first year or so, some capital improvement projects. Now, they were modest given that level of funding, but do you guys know, or can I pull from memory some of the things that CAF actually did to some of the first improvements over at the stadium and ball fields?
So, Brad, I don't know if you're familiar. I'm familiar with, I remember before they turfed the whole football field, they redid the cheerleading area, which was really nice, at the Wildcat Stadium. And maybe it was the brick wall part, or there was some improvements at the baseball park as well.
Right.
Yeah, I think they did the bannering of the fences, things like that. I think that was all CAF.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think, Dave, Brad, I'll let you speak to it. I think that let me go back to LSU. The way at LSU was, it was always up to the school, right? In this case, the athletic director, the superintendent, the principal, coaches, some collaborative effort, and what are the needs that the schools and programs have. We're just talking about the schools that are outside the budget of what the school system is, right? How can you supplement and help and improve those programs at the high school and middle school level? And then I think, at CAYL or any of the youth programs, some obviously share the same facility. CAF flag football was out at Wildcat Stadium, so they benefited from the flag football. But what are some programs, or what are ways that you can help supplement what's going on? I'll give you an instance where we'll have the opportunity to talk to Corey Wilson and Brett. I know that's been a lightning rod topic, and I'm really excited about working with Corey. Corey's from New Orleans. Corey, working with him with the zoo and the first tee. One of the great things that they got plans they're going to turf those over 3 fields at the baseball park. That's not only great for our kids, but that also brings in weekend tournaments. It brings in revenue. There's revenue that we can reinvest back into our facilities and our athletic programs. So that's a huge plus for us. So there are a lot of ways, I think, for CAF to help and support and give back.
Well, I'll tell you, Karen Bush says also CAF did all the championship banners and the wall graphics at the entrance of the gym remodeling. By the way, if you want to comment on Facebook Live or on YouTube, you're welcome throw in a comment or question. We'll be happy to read it and respond. So that's some other things that were done. But I guess the feel that I have, someone told me once that athletics is the front porch to your school system, and the school system is the front porch to your city. And it kind of it feels like you made the comment, Gordy, that doing things that are outside the budget of the school system. But I think maybe speak to the bigger issue of not outside really their budget, but outside their scope. They've got to educate our kids and train our kids and coach our kids, and they've got a full plate. And even small things that you might think, well, the school system could do that. It's just outside their scope and time to do, where volunteers can accomplish it. The dinners, the events, the tailgating.
Well, I mean, you think about, not only budgetary, you think about these teachers, especially these teachers that have come out of a pandemic year where it has not been easy, right? And again, these teachers who are there at 6:50, 7 a.m. in the morning, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, working those hours, and then turn around and coach and play games in all the above, and at times, they go to organize the tailgate, and in some cases, they're having a fundraise, and just get gas, money for the bus to go on road stuff. So, I think that there's got to be a way and there's a way to connect, right, and give that sort of support, Brad, without being out there and being somebody that's yelling at the basketball coach that, hey, you need to play zone, right? I mean, there's a fine line and all that. And I think that's what we're trying to get accomplished.
Brad, let me pull you in and maybe do a little bit of setup here. Tell us briefly your history at Central High School as a student athlete.
So yes, sir. When we moved to Central my sophomore year, we lived in Baker prior, and so we moved to Central my sophomore year. And my first year there, I played basketball and baseball, and then junior, senior year, I just played baseball. I was there in the mid to early '90s. We were pretty successful, but kind of to like our point that we're talking about. That now thinking about it, I didn't put two and two together when I was a kid, but thinking about it, we had men like Butch Arteta who were just volunteers during our summer league that would coach us, or Leo McClure, who was, he's the head baseball coach now, but he was just a dad then. So these men took us and taught us and brought us around the country playing baseball and kept our youth team together. And by the time we got to high school, I mean, it was a really good baseball team that had a lot of success. So I had great experiences at Central. That was one of the reasons when, after I graduated high school, I moved away. And then when my wife and I were looking for a place to raise our children, my wife's from New Iberia, so she really didn't have a dog in the fight where we stayed in Baton Rouge. We decided upon Central just because of the tight-knitness of the community. And it's there's an old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, you kind of get that in Central. So that's kind of what CAF is asking for now. We need everybody to kind of step up and volunteer and help out a little bit. And let's just make the experience playing sports for our children better.
Well, since you mentioned your children, you have at least one who's a ball player, correct?
Yes, sir, I do. My oldest will be a freshman this year at Central High.
And as just rumor has it, he's a pretty good prospect, correct?
He's young. We'll see. Yeah. He's a 14-year-old, so there's a lot of time left before something like that. But he does. He works hard. Same thing. He's had good coaches, youth coaches. Casey Patterson coached him when he was younger. Caleb Dixon coached him. Coach Swift, who's now the freshman high school football coach, worked with him a ton. During the summers, he would get him out there running with him and throwing and doing different things. And with that help from the community is how my son became better at the sport that he loves to play.
So the feeling, one of the things that's frustrated me over the years is watching a lot of our premier talented athletes go to other schools, Catholic schools, private schools. And was there a reason you decided to keep your son here at Central?
It was my son. And so he really wanted to play with his friends. And I'm going to be honest with you, Dave, there was, you go to these other schools and you see the facilities and you see the different things they have. And as superficial as it may be, as a 45-year-old, I think that doesn't matter. You can play on whatever. You can work out with whatever. To high school kids, it's a big deal. To middle school kids, I mean, it's a big deal. They want to go somewhere where they're going to have the best equipment, the best opportunity, and get seen. And so, that's kind of been a point of contention, especially for those guys who've been coaching youth sports for a long time. I've been involved in the youth sports in Central since my son was 4. So for the last 10 years, I've coached, baseball, basketball, football, or whatever. It's very frustrating when your better athletes are leaving. And it's not a community thing. They're not leaving because they're not happy in Central or they don't like raising their children here. It's just they feel like they have a better opportunity at another school with better facilities.
Yeah, Dave, let me give you 2 great examples for you. Let's talk about soccer, right? And over in Denham Springs, they've done a wonderful job with pards. And when I was in high school, which is a while back, they were known for baseball, not hockey. Denham's still very good in baseball. But all of a sudden, Denham High School has been a power in boys and girls soccer. And the reason is that soccer is the biggest sport they've got going out there at parts. And I mean, let's talk about soccer. Soccer is 2 nets, a ball. And we got plenty of real estate out here in Central. And, one of the things we've done is we reached out to Baton Rouge Soccer Association. We've got people that are interested in going deeper and starting the league here. Right now, my oldest son's 10. He played in the recreational league. They stop at 10 in Central. You got to go play at Pards right now, or you got to go play all the way on Burbank. And the way that works is there's recreational and then there's competitive and travel team. Well, guess what happens if he gets on a team from Pards and Denham has a club team, or with Baton Rouge, and he becomes friends and he makes relationships, what Brad's talking about. And when it comes time for high school, what's happening now is they've grown up playing competitive soccer and traveling to all these tournaments with all these people that are from wherever it might be. And where are they going to wind up going to high school? And I think that's part of the migration. So how do you fix that? It starts with building some youth leagues here. And the youth leagues got to be able to connect to the middle school and to the high school. It's all got to flow and know who's where and make it a good experience in that sport. Swimming. I got 2 kids that swim right now, Dave. You guys help me. I'm still learning the area. I had a guided tour last Saturday, everything north of Hooper, which is living out here 10 years is still a little foreign to me. Is there a full-size swimming pool in Central?
I learned to swim in the Comey.
I'm about to say there's got to be a pond somewhere.
LHSA doesn't put lane ropes in the Comey. You can't make it all pool. Right?
I've got the old Berean Ministries is the closest thing we have to a. It's owned by another group now. That's the closest thing you've got to a full size pool in Central.
That's the place on Morgan Road.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for that. But it's still point being.
Yeah.
People go to Arts, people go to LSU, or there's other facilities out there. And why can't you? I don't know where I can build a pool overnight, but I think connect those people. We talked to kind of partnering with the Legacy, which is the old Sherwood Forest Country Club, and I was Ashley, Lindsay, Mia, some of the ladies out there. They did a wonderful job. They had 82 people from Central show up for an open house. So, look, I'm a believer in this because you look at fishing in Central, you look at cheerleading, you look at bowling, and where you have parents that are involved in community support, you got state championship and really nice programs. And for me, as a parent, I just don't want my kids sitting inside watching YouTube and playing on his iPad or her iPad all day long. I want them out there experiencing it and learning the virtues and the good stuff that comes from being a part of teams.
So back to the narrative I was trying to build, Brad. Are we doing the right thing to create a culture in which kids grow up wanting to be a Wildcat? That's what we really have to do. Kids have to grow up and say, I want to play at Central High School. That's my goal. I know kids that grow up saying, I want to be a Catholic Bear because that's their family's history.
Well, I know, full disclosure, when we lived on the other side of Baton Rouge before we moved back to Central, my oldest went to Parkview. He went to Parkview all the way through 3rd grade. And one of the neat things that Parkview did, and I don't know the logistics, I don't know if it's possible here, they had like a big buddy system where the high school football players would come in and read a book to the younger kids, the kindergarten through like the 3rd, 4th, 5th graders, because those kids look up to the guys that are playing on Friday night. Those are their heroes. So that's it. Like Gordy's saying, if we can get involved with the kids when they're young and really start instilling that, the kids will grow up wanting to be Wildcats. Because they have a personal relationship now. They know the star receiver, just not by number 82 or whatever, but they know him by name. He read a book with them. He's their big buddy. I think things like that, getting our high school students that are there now involved with our younger kids would be a good way to start, having little kids want to grow up to be a Wildcat.
I actually made that suggestion to Sid a couple of years ago. Sid Edwards, our football coach. I just said, look, future Wildcats or future champions, and when the kid needs to want to go to a football game at the age of 7. They need to want to be there on Friday night because number 42 or number 27 is the guy that came out and watched their practice and called them by name. And after the game, they got to run out on the field and hang out while the coach gave the pep talk, that kind of thing. That's the kind of thing that I think that makes kids want to be a Wildcat.
Yeah, and
I agree.
Yeah, I think that you got to have the community support behind it because we had Coach Edwards on last week, right? We had the segment on autism and there's 2 children and they're He's coaching a high school team. He's got a full day of work, and he needs support. People getting people out to the stadium. And you know, Dave, I'll tell you, one of my first memories of coming out here to Central. I probably told you this story, Brad. You haven't heard this. I was seeing golf balls over Sherwood, of course. And there was a prominent guy that lives in Central that made a comment. Well, so and so wants to turn Central into the next West Monroe. And I just sat there and hit a golf ball and hit another one and hit a third. And I looked at him and I said, "What's wrong with that?"
Yeah.
Because if you've been to West Monroe on a Friday night, there's 15 to 20,000 people there. And it's just not about football. That's what's being missed here. It's about the community where all the teams are being recognized on the field. Teachers, students that are champions in the classroom. It's a celebration of so much more. It just happens to be football. And that goes back, Dave, to your front porch thing. You know, you talk about LSU. Well, where else? They have a tailgate at the Manship School that celebrates journalism that draws 500 people. And that's the vision of this thing. It's bringing the community together 5 or 6 times on a year to celebrate everything that's good and central. And oh, by the way, yeah, you are playing a football game.
I agree. I think there's no reason we don't have a packed stadium on a Friday night, because one of the unique things about Central is the generational families that live here. You know, I mean, there are some families that move in who've never been here before, but mostly it's parents that raise their kids have kids, they stay in Central. So I would love to see the stadium packed on a Friday night. Like, I hope that I could never find a parking spot. I think our kids deserve it.
Let me bring it aside. We have Karen Bush. I saw her make a comment, something I'm obviously passionate about. And Karen is over the digital media over at the high school. But, you know, with the new facilities that they have and something they started this last year, and hopefully they'll continue to grow. She's got CHS Wildcat Scoop and all the digital media, which is a booming industry, right? Mm-hmm. In a perfect world, you want 12, 15 kids working on a Friday night, doing graphics, editing video, doing all the above. There's great jobs right out of high school in that field of digital media. And not only is that great real-time experience, again, well, by the way, you're playing a football game for a job field, you know, that is expanding. But I think it's something that Central really needs to do, or continue to do a better job, is telling its story. Somebody made the comment to me, "Hey, our basketball team is 18-6, yet we got the stands half filled." I was like, what are you doing to let people know? You've got to continually put videos and stories and tell people that the way that people are consuming their information, whatever platform they're consuming their information, you've got to tell those stories right now. And I'm excited about the future of that whole digital media and what Karen's trying to get going. And that's whatever sport it has to be. I mean, there are parents out there, that probably don't know about opportunities that are available for their small children or sometimes even in high school.
Let me throw something out. Matter of fact, Ashley sent me this ad today. It's going in the paper this week. You have a tech camp Mondays in July, 5:30 to 7:30 for anyone that's entering the 7th through 12th grade. And it's all about this program you're talking about, teaching kids the media side of sports.
Well, I'll let you go, Brad. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about that one either. So I was hoping you did, being that you live with Ashley.
Look, I talk to Ashley more than you guys do. So she says
no,
stuff all day.
But no, I will say this. I got the pleasure to meet Mr. Bush, who was the voice of the Wildcats for a really long time. And he and I were talking in the press box one day. This was probably a couple months back. And he kind of mentioned that the students were kind of taking over. And look, I've watched games on Friday night, watching the students do the announcing. I think it's an amazing opportunity for these kids. There's so many other aspects to sports than the actual athletes who are playing. Yeah. And so the fact that our school is getting these kids involved, and like Gordy said, social media is where this generation is. You know, it may seem foreign to us old guys, but that's how these kids communicate with each other. Hype videos. The year that LSU won the national championship in 2019, a friend of mine's son, Billy Stout, his son was doing all the hype videos for LSU, and they were amazing. I mean, you couldn't wait till like the Tuesday or Wednesday when those videos came out so you could watch the hype video for the upcoming game. I know we have students who are computer savvy enough to put together a hype video for the upcoming game. I mean, it just gives our kids so many more opportunities.
So, our role going back to CAF is the role is, I mean, look, the school's got that program, and, there's that Brandon who grew out there, and Karen, they work on the program. That's fine. I think it's for somebody to kind of raise their hand and say, hey, if we could get another camera, or is there a way we could possibly raise some money that's outside, that's not in the necessarily budget to help them progress quick, the way that the cheerleaders got turf or whatever those are. And so again, it's, I think, helping supplement the school system. And then on the flip side, it is helping youth programs. Go back to the soccer example. Somebody's got to help with goals. If you're going to build the old love it, and that's what Breck's talking about, to make that a soccer complex. Breck's got some of it, but to really make it something special, how else can CAF help? And our parents available to go out there and coach, and people available to go run concession stands for different programs. It's just not about schools. Again, it's K by 12 and just helping, I think, fill in some of the holes that kind of exist in our community. And soccer happens to be one of them, youth soccer.
Well, I'll tell you this, and this is a place that we should really plug in. Those of us who don't have children who are playing ball, performing with the band, kittens, etc., on a Friday night, we need to be in the concession stand. And here's why. Back when my kid was in the band and flags and all that, I had to spend some of those times manning the concession stand because that had to be done. And parents of these kids were the ones doing it. Why can't those of us with no kids be the ones in there? And instead of pulling the parents away from watching their children perform on the field.
How about lacrosse? Actually, we didn't help run the concession stand and did the gate for the Central hosted the LHSA. It's actually, I don't think a sanctioned sport. It's a supported, but you got to go out there, and lacrosse raised $4,000 for that sport, which is a startup sport, but it gives 15 or 20 kids an opportunity in the school system to play. Maybe that don't play necessarily in a sport, at least give them to do that. And then there's a camp, I think, coming July 7th and 8th. If that's something my 10-year-old loves lacrosse, I'm going to let him out there and play. And I think what people don't realize, lacrosse is one of the fastest growing sports in the United States. And I tell people, the high school I went to, a lot of the kids that played baseball put all their kids in lacrosse at New Orleans. And the financial aid, some of the scholarships, if you're good enough to make it in lacrosse, and that's just a small part of the equation. It's not always about wins and losses. But my point is not giving everybody the opportunity to play. There's a missed opportunity for not only that possible direction after high school's over. A lot of opportunities out there, and how do we start?
Well, let me take this moment to give a commercial interruption from Karen Bush.
Yeah.
She types in, our CHS Summer Sports Tech Camp is open to CCSS students entering 7th through 12th grades. Will be held each Monday through July, except July 19th. And August until school begins from 5:30 to 7:30 at Wildcat Stadium. Camp has been created to provide an opportunity for students to immerse themselves in the game day experience by learning to run the scoreboard and video board, to cut instant replays, operate field and stationary cameras, control the sound system and lights, and they got some cool lights coming. All the multicolored lights have been installed now, to produce and or commentate live streams, and to manage our PR team, including posting pictures, video clips, score updates to our social media outlets, and taking still pics and live video for future PR needs. Sounds to me like about 40 or 50 students could be there on a Friday night doing this stuff, huh?
I agree. That's probably one of the coolest things I've heard today. I'm gonna be honest with you. I love that program.
Yeah, I love that. And again, it's real-time experience jobs that you can get right out of high school. And it's also telling Central's story. And I think people are going to be really excited when they get to that stadium because of the pandemic and what have you, they were late getting everything in. So I don't think anyone heard the full effects of that sound system. There's the LED lighting, Brad, the SEC, and the Ole Miss, Alabama. And they have the red and white blinking LED lights out there. Just kind of forewarning, I think people across the street at Wildcat Stadium, it's going to be loud. I heard it once, like, whoa. So that's cool, right? And again, it's not so much about me, Brad, or you, Dave. It's about 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kid just wanted to be there on Friday night, and having that experience that makes them want to be a part of Central and be a Wildcat.
One year, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago, Sid and I were talking, and he said, Dave, you know how many people are involved in football? I said, I don't know, 100, 150. He said, when you take the football team, the band, the trainers, the people doing video, the people doing sound, the people, all the kittens, the cheerleaders, et cetera, it was almost half the school was involved in the football program indirectly. And then you start
Wow.
adding more and more programs to it. And before you know it, you have lacrosse and bowling and fishing and what have you. And there won't be a child that can go to Central High School that can't find a niche. And that's one of the sad things is when kids don't fit in, and a larger variety of things that we can give them to do, the better chance we have of every one of our children finding a place and a group and a support mechanism at school with their friends.
No, I agree. I think Gordy and I actually had this conversation a while back that, it's kind of disappointing that we're a 5A program and there's certain sports that we don't have. Like a swim team. I know when I was in high school, Miss Kep was a great teacher that left and ended up going to the Mobile area. But her daughter, Jill Kep, was almost qualified for the U.S. Olympic team. So they started a swim team her junior year at Central, and they were winning state titles as a swim team. And they were only around for a couple of years. So the fact that we don't have one still is disappointing. I love the fact that we have lacrosse now. The fishing team, I think it's the coolest idea. I mean, let's face it, we're a small country town.
Time out. Karen Bush says we have 5 teams fishing this weekend for nationals at Lay Lake in Alabama this weekend.
I know, isn't that cool? That needs to be out there. I mean, we need to be able to support all these programs, not just the 3 major programs.
But you know what the fishing team does too? They're one of the bigger supporters of the Central Food Bank. Yep. They have fundraisers and come participate and bring supplies to the food bank. So much like Sid with his Men for Others, these coaches are involving the kids in our community, not just in their sport.
Yeah, the fishing team has a lot of parent involvement also, like a volunteer parent involvement. And so that kind of gets back to what the root of what CAF is trying to get done for the other sports. I mean, you see how successful this fishing team is. We feel like all our programs could be that successful. But we just need support from the community. We need more people involved, volunteering, and giving their time.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what Gordy likes to call building a tribe. How are we doing with how can we get people excited about being a part of this? What's the mechanism? What can they do? What are the benefits?
So I know the membership for a year is $100, right? But with that, you get 20 discounted tickets to any middle school game or any high school game that you want to attend. So let's just say, for instance, it's $10 to get into the football games. You get it for $5. So after your 20 games, you're essentially getting your money back. Then you also get discounted prices on all Central Athletic Foundation apparel that we're putting on. We'll do 4 different sales throughout the years that correspond with the different seasons, fall, winter, spring, summer. That way, if you want a hoodie for football season, you'll be able to get one in the fall before the winter comes. You'll be able to get those discounted clothing. And then, like I said earlier, it gives you a voice. I mean, we're doing like a chalk talk where you might get to sit down with one of the coaches and go over like a pregame plan. It gives parents an opportunity to have their voice heard. So I think with the direction we're trying to go, and Gordy, correct me if I'm wrong, is we have us board members, but we want 300 members in the group to be able to voice what their concerns are, what they see. Because I know for me, I don't have a kid that plays soccer. So I don't know what's going on or what's being neglected with the soccer team. I don't have a kid that wrestles. My children don't play lacrosse. So all those things, we need parents from those sports involved. So if there's something that your kid is missing or something that's not being done or something that you see that can be done differently to make it better, we need that advice, and we need that guidance from those parents.
Well, let me throw a challenge out there. You said parents. My kids are in their 30s. I have a grandson who's almost 1. Have I mentioned my grandson this episode yet, Gordy?
Yeah, no, you haven't.
I just thought I'd mention that.
Okay.
But I think I was member number 8 in the CAF, and there's no reason. Matter of fact, I think there should be 6 other council members to be a member. I think the mayor should be a member, and the police chief. And how about the school board too? And how about every business owner
Yeah.
who cares about, or I shouldn't say who cares about, who's interested and wants to make an investment in the kids of this community? Let's all join.
Yeah,
No, I agree.
it's a celebration of community, right? And it's getting involved and I think just giving back. We all, we all value this community. It's look, when you look at the business side of it, it's one of the top three areas in a 5-mile square radius of city center of household incomes. It might surprise some people, but I mean, Central has really got a lot going for it. And so you have people that I think will get involved if you ask them to get involved and support the youth programs, support these schools, support these coaches, support these student athletes. And it's a community feel. And I go back to West Monroe on a Friday night. It's got 15 to 20,000 fans there. I don't think Central holds that. And it's a process with how can you do this and this and this and keep growing and getting people involved. And, one of the best feelings, I forget, was it 2-3 years ago? There was one tailgate that I think CAF put on where we had some alumni come back. And, that football team, when they get off the bus, they should walk through a line of fans every game. We had a chance to go on the softball playoff games. How cool is that experience where you have a pickup truck in the back of the left field fence and a DJ? I mean, DJ sitting right there, really cool atmosphere. How do you tell the story and get more people to come to those things?
So we need to have our version of the hill, right?
What's that?
We need to have our version of the hill.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, you want it to be, look, I had to go play high school football at St. Martinville, Louisiana. They had people hanging out the side of a tree. It was on the 10-yard line. And those are the stories that are really cool that I think really define the community. You want to make it a special, fun experience.
Is there a video for joining the CAF? Is there some kind of a hype video for that?
I think Boje did something. Did Todd do some video? I saw a little bit of it, right?
Yes, he did put something together, but truthfully, the easiest way to become a member and find out more is just to go to the website.
CentralAthleticFoundation.com/membership, Ms. Bush shares. But I'm saying I want to take a hype video and text it and email it to all the council and even the fire chief, my wife says. And I want to say, guys, you got to do this. Ladies, you got to do this.
Oh, I agree with you. I mean, that's almost caring. Once she gets that tech game going.
Yeah, I know.
About every sport, right? And just from the journalism side, Dave, I've seen some really cool high school websites where you have a student with a camera interviewing a student athlete, asking 10 questions about Brad's kid. And those are the sort of things that get viral and get not only students, but it gets family members and parents engaged. And at that point, you start becoming more and more community thing. And I think that's what it is sparking community interest.
All right, Karen Bush is on her game. She's already texted me a link to the YouTube video, Building a Tribe Dedicated to Excellence, dedicated to athletic excellence. If you just go to YouTube and either type in CAF membership or Central Athletic Foundation, you'll be able to find it. Text it and email it to all your friends and give them the link to the centralathleticfoundation.com/membership and challenge everybody to join.
No, we've launched it a week and up 21, 22 members, and it's still new. And so we're trying to get to 150 members or families, I believe is the way we're looking at family memberships by the start of football. And, David, it's a process, right? It's a process, and you just want to keep making steps, daily, monthly, year by year, and continue to grow and get people engaged.
Well, I'm going to get you 10 members.
Okay, I'm on that.
Will you get us 10, Gordy?
We'll get us 10. I will get us 10. I'm all for that.
Well, is there
just 10?
Well, I got to start somewhere.
Hey, I got to ask for more, Dave.
Okay. Gosh, I don't know where else to go with this except saying it can make a huge difference in making our community stronger because our kids have a place will stay here and have a place to belong, really.
Yeah, and I'll end with this again. going back to what you said at the beginning, athletics is just the front porch of a school system and a community. I think it's not only about just athletics, right? It's about the whole school system. And rarely do you get that many people involved, and it's recognizing all the support groups. It's taking and recognizing the champions in the classroom on those platforms as well. Everybody should be recognized for that. I mean, Central, I haven't seen the number 2, number 3 school system. Where's the 4.0 student? Where's the people that are getting that? They should be recognized in that. And it's, again, a celebration of the community using the platform that is athletics.
As a friend of mine who played high school football as a quarterback once, we were sitting watching our kids play at Central, and he said something about the 4.0 students. He said, "Yeah, that's the people I'm working for now." So just so much more than athletics, but athletics is a big part of our system. And kudos to Jason Fountain, our superintendent. He interviewed for and then said after he got the job, he said, I want world class academics, world class arts, and world class athletics, and they're making moves in all those areas.
Yeah, one thing that was impressive about when we first met CAF with Dr. Fountain, you look at his background. It was academic center for athletes, I think, with Bobby Bowden at Florida State, with Miles at LSU. I forget who he's with at Mississippi State. And, I think one of the good things, Dave, is that when you look at those programs, that's a Fortune 500 company. When you talk about a program like Florida State, it is run that way. And when you bring in a student athlete, you make that sort of investment at the academic level. It's so much more than football, is my point. And so when, when somebody has seen that and been a part of that, I believe in what he's saying, that he wants to be world class in academics and facilities and athletics. You're going to put something out there. You want to be the very best. And again, it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. And so, hopefully continue to make steps coming out of this pandemic.
Well, we've always said we'll talk to a run out of things to talk about. We're not stuck to an hour. We're at 47 minutes. Anything you guys would like to close with, other than Gordy? I'll beat you to 10 members, Gordy.
Okay. Dave, personally, I just want to say thank you for giving us this platform tonight to get the word out about the Athletic Foundation, to spread our message, and to hopefully influence some people to become members.
Yeah, I'll say the scan down our Facebook and support these coaches/teachers like Karen's camp. I think Jamar McKnight and some of the basketball coaches are doing basketball this week. I think softball's still coming. You've got a lot of these camps that obviously this is helping support these teachers and getting them involved right now. Find a way to get your kid involved with something and with what's going on. And I think the biggest thing is, like the Central Athletic Foundation page, please share it. You talk about 10 people sign up. Please get 10. If you get 2, that's great, but share it and help get the word. And if you have a story or whatever that is, we've all got to talk, communicate, and help grow this tribe.
Les Bush, who you mentioned a few minutes ago, Brad, is watching tonight. So thank you for Karen Bush for getting the students involved in the Wildcat Scoop, reaching out to alumni and fans all over the country. Because with the internet, seriously, we're worldwide. And look in the paper this week for the softball, volleyball, and soccer camps that are still yet to come in July. There's Ashley has fed us a bunch of information for this Thursday's paper about all the things that are yet to come this summer.
I'll tell you right now, I was a Central play at East St. John a couple of years ago in football. Was that the playoff game here 2 years ago? I will tell you, I was up at the LSU Hotel in Oxford, Mississippi. There are a couple of coaches watching the stream of it. So don't think that it's just, it's just a local thing. I mean, you've got alums and you've got interest, and again, you're telling the story and you're giving kids an opportunity to get involved with a career field that is growing. Guarantee, company I work for, we own GatorWorks in Utah. They've continued to multiply in the hires they're doing, and getting real-time work experience like that's fantastic.
Well, go back after this broadcast and go to Go Central's Facebook page and share this post with people, and they can hear this this presentation for weeks and months to come. So if you need a tool to get people interested in the CAF, just direct them to Go Central. Well,
All
guys,
good.
thanks
I'm
for,
good.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you for
Bye.
being here. We're going to sign off.
Thanks,
you.
Dave.
We'll see you next